Angeline Sennett woke with a start. Another vision. She shoved back the covers sliding from her bed. It was still dark outside. The house was quiet. Only the rhythmic snoring of her father sleeping interrupted the silence. Leaving the house without one of her brothers or her father to escort her was against the rules, but Angeline knew what she had to do, and she knew what it would cost her. She pushed open her window and slid out onto the wet grass below. The wind kicked up, lifting her heavy, long curtain of white blonde hair away from her neck. She wiggled her toes in the grass, loving the feel of the soothing energy coming from the earth, easing the burn of her last vision. A connection to the earth always made it easier to gain the calm she needed to do what must be done. A long, high-pitched yawn from within the house alerted Angeline. She didn't know if it was her brother Harrow or her other brother Barthos. Either way, she wasn't going to wait to find out. Angeline raced into the forest at the edge of their property. Stretching her limbs as far as they could go, she pushed to cover as much ground as she could. Whichever of her brothers it was who woke would check on her. And when they found her missing, they would be after her. Her feet seemed to know the way she should go. Angeline let her instincts guide her. Oftentimes, when she had her visions, there were things her mind could not bear to see. Or maybe it was that there was too much to remember. But a part of her remembered. This part of her knew the way. The moon was high in the sky and cast light enough that she could see where to step and when to jump over or under a low branch. Her lungs burned as she kept the breakneck pace, even as the earth began to rise in an incline. Faster, Angeline. You will only just make it. A tall mountain cast the forest ahead in black shadow. She didn't hesitate, but raced into the blackness. Sharp sticks scraped at her legs, and the sharp crunch of pine cones under her bare feet hurt. Still, she did not allow herself to slow down. Her knee hit hard rock, and she put her hands out, falling forward on a rocky incline. Climb? But I can't see. The vision she'd dreamed lit up in her mind like a burning flame. Angeline reached up and felt her way up the steep rocky hill. Once she reached the summit, the land flattened out again. She was breathing hard as she hurried into another thick crop of trees. The trees had thin trunks and grew close together. It was slowing her down, weaving between the trees in the blackness. Around her heavy breathing and the crashing sound of her feet in the darkness, she heard it. The whimpering sound that began her vision. I'm almost there. Angeline gained another 3 yards before she saw the small clearing. The whimpering sound was growing louder. Angeline's eyes began to adjust to the darkness and the bit of light the moon granted the small clearing. An oversized burlap bag moved on the floor of the clearing. I made it. Taking hold of the bag, Angeline untied the cord holding the bag shut. Red, matted hair was the first of what she saw, and braced herself. Angeline continued working the bag down the quaking body inside. I'm here to help you. I won't hurt you. The head turned toward the sound of her voice. There was a blindfold and tape wrapped around the eyes of the woman. Her mouth also taped shut, and based on the bulge of her cheeks, her mouth was also stuffed with something. Angeline spoke quietly. I don't know how long we have until whoever did this to you returns. You have to stay quiet. Do exactly as I say, and I promise I'll get you back to your family where you'll be safe. She nodded her head, showing Angeline that she understood. Angeline worked faster now. She removed the tape from the woman's mouth and then untied her ankles. Thank you, the woman breathed. Angeline could tell the woman was trying to talk quietly, but she was too overcome with emotion to have any control over her voice. Don't talk right now, Angeline advised as she moved around to the back of the woman where her hands were bound together at the wrist. Sticks crunching under heavy feet broke through the stillness. The red-haired woman stiffened up, her arms pulling against the restraints at her wrists, tightening them. We have to move. He's almost here. Angeline wrapped her arms around the waist of the woman and helped her to stand. The woman leaned heavily on Angeline. Her feet were probably numb from the tight binding at her ankles. Even though it was dark, Angeline slid the tight blindfold and tape from the woman's face. Her brown eyes blinked rapidly. They landed on Angeline, who held her pointer finger up to her own lips. The woman nodded.